Hello, welcome to the video, and today's video is going to be a bit of a different one. We're starting a bit of a podcast. So I've been speaking to Michaela from Smoke and Matches, one of the co-founder owners of it. So that's a candle brand. They sell wax melts and sort of candles in concrete jars. They're pretty cool, so go check them out. I'll leave the links below. And she's got a pretty big YouTube channel as well with about 100,000 followers, so a good audience there. But anyway, so this is going to be the first podcast of many, because I'm sure there's going to be many things for us to talk about. So this one is a bit of an introductory, get to know us. There's a lot of waffle, but I'm hoping you guys will find something useful in it, as we're sort of competitors, I guess, competing for customers. We're selling different things with different niches, but it's sort of behind the scenes competitor analysis, how we get customers, some of the struggles, and just chatting about candle business, how we can grow them and how we can progress. So I'm hoping you guys find it useful. So here's the video, let's get into it. It's going to be a bit of a long one, but as we get better at it, each video will become more concise. I'm hoping to release them every Monday. So yeah, let's crack on.
So I'm going to ask you some questions as a viewer, because I think these are the same questions that the other viewers will have. And one of the top ones that I would like to know, just purely because from my perspective, I'd like to know whether or not there's anyone I'm missing. Who else do you watch on YouTube that makes candles?
So for me, when I first started candle making, the people that came up first was sort of Wade, Standing Handcrafting, and then Erica Morris with Memory Candle Co. There's a couple of others I can't quite remember off the top of my head. Maybe slightly smaller channels, which I do find a bit more relatable because they're small channels and I think they're still learning and growing. But Wade, I paid for a little consultation with him, so I spent $30 to have a little 30-minute chat with him. Got a lot of good information from him. I think people like Wade, it's longevity and time, so he's been doing it for over a decade. So for someone like that who have a pre-existing candle business and go from there, for me, the information's good, but it feels a bit maybe unattainable because he's so far ahead of me. Whereas I think people like Erica, I've looked back at her oldest videos. I think she started off flipping clothes and trying to do eBay and reselling, and then stumbled upon candle making, and that kind of became her thing. And I find that a bit more relatable, looking back at someone's journey over 3 years and going, if she's doing it, I can probably do it, and that kind of thing. So those are the sort of candle makers I do watch on YouTube.
Well, I said this before. I think that there's a reason that it feels like our processes are almost exactly the same, and that's because we've kind of watched the same people on YouTube in America predominantly, because there's just not English people talking about this stuff, and we've kind of taken that information, interpreted it to the kind of supplies that are available here, and we seem to be doing almost exactly the same thing. So that makes a lot of sense because we watch the same people, and I watch Wade as well. I really enjoy his videos, but it definitely feels like that's way up there. Like maybe one day, maybe. But Erica feels like not only more relatable because she's come to it with the mindset of, I'm a creative person, I'm kind of entrepreneurial person. One day I'm going to find the thing, and it happened to be candles, which seems like that's what's happened to the two of us as well. But also she's still on the journey to making it a successful, I mean, it's a successful business, but to making it like the thing she knows it can be. Like she's still on the way.
Yeah, definitely. I think her YouTube channel's hit off, and I think that's what's paying a lot of her bills, because she's gone to like 150,000 subscribers. I think her candle business is doing all right, but that maybe isn't quite enough to be a full-time job. I could be entirely wrong. That's the impression I get. She's still working out the kinks of her candle business and learning as she's going. And I'm sure she's got a lot of success with it. And I think hand in hand with everything going on, it creates a good income. But yeah, seeing people, the sort of behind the scenes, that is the relatable aspect, and that's kind of what I want to do with my YouTube videos. I don't really want to hide anything. I want to try and showcase all of my failures, many of them, and then the successes, and hopefully people can go, actually, that is all doable. I can probably give it a crack.
Nobody's doing this. No one in the UK. And I don't understand why. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. We find it difficult to kind of put a spotlight on ourselves when we feel like we're doing something. I mean, I know when I started my YouTube channel, and this was a million years ago, I didn't tell any, I was like, the idea that someone would find out about it was absolutely mortifying. If I started a new job now, nobody would know about it unless they found out by accident. Like I don't tell people, this is what I do. In fact, someone started new recently in my job and said, what do you do with your other days? Because I've got kids, but they're older kids. There's no reason for me to work part-time. And I was like, I was like, I do YouTube. I'm like a 15-year-old girl. Like, it makes me so uncomfortable because it
Yeah.
because the only way to actually say to someone, oh, I make candles as my sideline, or oh, I make YouTube videos, the only way to make that legitimate is to say, and this is how much money I make. And that is
Sorry.
not, oh, is he? I couldn't hear him at all at first.
Well, I live above a pub, so there's a lot of stuff happening all the time, a lot of noise. He's barking.
That barely registered
Um,
in terms of noise.
yeah, sorry, distracting for me. So yeah, so that similar for me. I wanted to do YouTube for a long time, but I put it off because I'm like, oh, that's really cringy. People are going to find it. They're going to think I'm a knob, or they're going to be like, what am I doing? Oh, you a 15-year-old girl, but I'm not. I've got mustache. But yeah, it's difficult putting yourself out there. I think I don't care so much anymore. I still find it a bit weird when people have watched my videos. A lot of my friends and work colleagues do watch them. They're all sort of on my side and they kind of understand what I'm doing and they find it interesting, but still, it took me a long time to get over just watching myself and not cringing. So that's how I feel like I come across to other people. There's that weird British nature.
It is definitely, but do you know what we were talking about off podcast, off camera, about like the confidence and stuff. I do think that the more you see yourself, the more you hear yourself, the more it's almost like what's it called? Something immersion therapy. Like the more you are forced to see yourself, the less you care. Like now, if someone takes a picture, like I'll take a selfie with a friend or something, and they'll be like, "Is it okay?" I'm like, it's my face. It's my face is what my face is. I'm not. I don't. Post whatever you want. That's just what I look like. I could do it from a different angle. But that's just you become so much less precious about how you are in the world, let alone like on the internet.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, very similar for me. Like listening to your own voice at first, you're like, oh, I really sound like that. And then after a while, you just like, I don't care. I can watch a 20 video of me just monologuing, and I'm like, that's me now.
It's just what I'm like. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that's something that's stopping the UK candle makers, because there's no reason why we wouldn't have the equivalent people other than it's that like, oh, don't tell people I'm trying to do something. Don't say it out loud that you're trying to have a successful business. That's like, you can't tell people that.
I think sometimes people find it as a bit showy-offy and they're like, oh, look at that guy trying to make a success of himself. Don't like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that you could totally slot into that gap in the UK market. For me, you are, and I think that there's space for that, and you're the only person that I found doing it. So we need more, but also we need more people to watch you.
We don't need more. That'll be competition.
Well, funnily enough, my next question kind of fits in with what we were saying. What were your barriers, if any, to starting? So obviously we know what your barriers were to starting a YouTube channel, or at least some of them, but for candle making specifically.
For candle making, quite impulsive, so I kind of go all in with everything. So at the time I was doing Amazon FBA, and I was just buying and selling toys and Legos and random stuff like that. And there wasn't really much continuity in it. I'd have to find something and then find something new. I couldn't just keep selling the same stuff over and over. And if I did, there'd be a lot of competition because people would find similar things and sell it. So with Amazon FBA, there'll be a listing for like something and then 20 other people can sell the same stuff. But what I wanted to do was kind of build a brand. I wanted to build something that's a bit more long lasting. I could really channel a lot of efforts into. And then I was just looking on Amazon and stuff and I found someone selling candles and I thought I could probably do that. So the next day I bought 5 kilos of wax, some scent and some candle jars and just gave it a go. When I first did that, I bought some pillow wax candles and made some awful candles. I didn't look at anything. I just melted some wax, chucked some fragrance in and just set it. And they were horrendous. So really, it was just trying to learn how to make a candle that was good in the beginning and spend the time doing it. So I work full time as a chef. So everything I do, I'm trying to cram in before work, after work, and then on my days off. So I'll be up quite late trying to make candles. I think I started about Christmas time. But I didn't really sell anything for the first couple of months. I sold one candle and it's probably maybe the worst candle I've ever made. They weren't horrendous. I double wicked the jars because I couldn't get the candle to burn down properly. So I thought I'll just do 2 wicks. That'll work. And they were okay, but I kind of figure if I can sell it once, I can probably do it better. But the more time I spent on YouTube, the more time I started looking at the candles and how to actually do it properly and learning it is actually quite a process, not just melting some wax and sticking it together. That is when I found it maybe slightly more difficult to do the thing, because I realized there's a lot more to it. So even now, I don't feel like I can make the best candles in the world, but they're definitely good enough for me, and the customers like it generally. But yeah, I think it is just
But I
learning
wonder
how
if
to do it
that's
properly.
like the English sensibility as well. Of you being like, even now, I don't think I make the best candles in the world, but you could get a 5-star review. Someone could be like, this is amazing, but still, you'll be like, is it though? Is it?
Yeah, no, I think, as I maybe said to you earlier, I get a 1-star review and then I test all of my candles. I have 10 different things burning, and I'll go up to my partner and be like, can you smell this? And I'll go to my friends, can you smell this? Can you just knock himself over? Can you smell it? Because I think sometimes I get nose blind and I worry about what I'm making is rubbish, because I really want to sell the best thing possible, because I want to create a long-lasting brand that is actually something good and provides value to people, not just selling cheap knockoff crap, which I've tried doing in the past, and it doesn't last very long. So I want to do something properly. So yeah,
But you rebranded though, didn't you? Did you rebrand at some point, or you just changed the jars and stuff and your labels and things?
tried some new labels. So there's a few different people I watch on YouTube with Amazon brands, and there's this guy called Paul J. Savage. He does a lot of white label products and everything else. But he was talking about there's a water brand called Liquid Death. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
They've got really cool. Their product stands out in quite a boring market. So most sparkly water brands are a bit generic and a bit rubbish. And they've got like a flaming skull on it and loads of random flavors. I can't remember what. Anyway, it's all very out there for a water brand, but they've been doing quite well with like marathon runners and sort of extreme sports and things like that. So I thought my candles are nice, but they're just nice candles fitting into a lot of other nice candles. If you're scrolling through Instagram, what's going to make my thing stand out? So I try to do a bit of a rebrand and make it look a bit more quirky and stand out a bit, make the labels. I've kind of gone for like a melting wax effect, but it might look a bit like dripping blood, depends on who you are. But yeah, I've sort of gone all in on like a bookish theme. So they're all a bit weird and a bit quirky. There's like a bookshop smell, thunderstorm, barbershop, things like that. They're just a bit random and a bit out there. So I'm hoping if people go through it, they go, oh, wow, that's really cool. Or they hate it. I kind of love that polarization of emotion rather than just, oh, that's a nice candle, and then scrolling through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, bit of a long-winded answer to your question.
No, that's perfect, because whichever way you are on that scale, sometimes if you see something that you're like, what is this? You'll share it. And then other people will see it and they'll be like, well, I love it. It's all the stuff in the middle is like, it's like you either, it's fine, it's not. I feel that the same. I think that the label and how you brand something is, well, it's everything, especially with candles, because you could have two of exactly the same candle, and a lot of people do. Yeah. Branded and like sold completely differently by a different name with a different label to try and appeal to different markets. And that's, I think what you're doing now is really unusual. And having something that is different is the only thing. It's the only thing that you can do to try and set yourself apart, because so many people are making candles. I
think that's it. There's so many nice candles. So there's so many people selling a lavender candle. But what's going to make someone buy my lavender candle?
Yeah.
We're all doing soy wax. Well, a lot of us are doing essential oils. Like, there's so many different things everyone are doing as well. And whatever we think we're doing in a unique way probably isn't that unique, rather than just looking like a nice candle. So I think it's trying to separate yourself from the rest of the people. Like, what are you going to be able to do that's going to set you apart? What twist can you add? What unique personality or that kind of thing in quite a broad market? And maybe I didn't realize how many people are making handmade candles until I started doing it. There's so many people on Instagram, so many people doing little pop-up stalls, and there's just loads everywhere. So
yeah, but like you said earlier, like you'd said earlier on, possibly not while we were recording, but that so many people start and don't continue. Like, how many of these places on Instagram that you found, how many of these Instagram accounts have been going for more than even a year? A lot of them, it feels
Yeah.
like, oh, there's so many people doing the same thing, but not for a long time.
Yeah, you got to keep going. You just got to keep doing the thing and finding out what works for you and what's going to set you apart from the rest. A lot of people do these things for a couple of years, make a few sales, but it's never quite enough. And it's really difficult to not compare yourself to other people, because you see someone, there's I don't know if you've seen on Instagram, Tyler Aromatherapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I look at her, she's been doing it for less time than me, and she's quit her job and she's making loads of money.
Yeah.
Whatever she's doing, well, she's found her people, she's found, like, she's created a women's brand with promoting women's mental health, and it's all aromatherapy candles, and she's kind of got her tribe of people that are very loyal to her, and she shares everything openly with a lot of behind the scenes. There's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of just being herself and being quite humble. That's very hard when you look at those people and go, I'm still not making it, I'm still not quite there. And I think, people just give up too quickly. They see that and go, I'm not doing it. I'll sack it off.
This then comes down to like the definition of success, though. So outward success, because someone can be selling so many products, making so many products, but you don't know behind the scenes. Obviously, with that particular maker, she's quit a job and whatever, but someone could have 30,000 followers on Instagram and have seemingly loads and loads of success, but not be making very much money, or the reviews might not be very good. You could sell absolutely loads, still keep your day job, and it seems like you're not succeeding. But if you actually look at the two on paper, one could be much more successful than the other. It all depends on which part of it is successful for you. Like, you could not sell very many candles, but have a huge following on social media and look a lot more successful than you are.
Yeah.
It's
I think it's a tricky balance, isn't it? I think the more and more I do anything, the longer I do it, the more doing the work and enjoying the process becomes the main goal, as cliche as it sounds.
Yeah.
Whereas you set these certain goals, and whenever I hit them, I'm like, oh, okay, I've done that. Whereas when I sold my first candle, I was like, oh, yes, done it. Sold my first candle. That's amazing. But now if I sell 20 in a day, I'm like, oh, cool. That's fun. But I think it's just enjoying the process and just doing it and learning becomes the goal, rather than setting these things. In my head, what I want to do is replace my full-time job as a chef with something creative like candle making. Hopefully that will be the vehicle that will get me there, which will allow me more time to do the things I like creating stuff, making videos, and progressing that. Whether I continue doing the candles forever, but it will allow me to pivot from there, because of the information I've learned and the things I've gained by doing it, I can probably apply to other things. But for the most part, I do enjoy it. It did start off as a bit of, right, this will be some quick flipping money, and I can make a bit of a brand. It'll be easy. All these people making candles, must be simple. But the more I do it, the more I enjoy it, the more I get into it. And I think, coming from a chefing background, I do quite enjoy the hands-on aspect of melting stuff. You've got the smells, you've got all the different things going on, all the senses. So that has become something I've enjoyed way more doing it and learning than I probably thought I did in the beginning.
Yeah. Plus, once, like I did before, once something becomes your full-time gig, like once something, like with chefing, once something becomes your full-time, this is everything that I'm doing, then you kind of lose your passion for it, because this is what I have to do to make a living. And that would probably happen with candle making. It would probably, I mean, I know from experience, it will happen with YouTube. Anything where you start being like, I have to do this to earn this amount of money, then it loses its luster. As soon as it moves away from being a hobby and starts being an actual, this is my job.
Yeah, definitely. I think that becomes the same with, like you said, a lot of things.
Yeah.
Originally, what I wanted to do was become like a food influencer. I was going to take everything I've learned from chefing and turn that into a career, but I hated doing it. It'd be such a forced thought, and then the procrastination and actually doing it. So to make myself cook stuff and record it and do it on my day off and then do the washing up, I hated it. As much as I enjoy cooking and I love creating nice dishes and stuff like that, trying to do it on my day off is just so hard, and not having the right equipment. To recreate some of the stuff, it's doable in your kitchen, but it's much harder without the right setup.
Yeah.
And then getting the right angles and trying to record it, and then trying to record stuff at night time in the kitchen when the light's yellow is just a nightmare.
Yeah. I cannot tell you, after 10 years of beauty blogging, I never wanted to have to describe a lipstick ever again. Like, there's only so many ways that you can describe a pink or a texture or how long something lasts. At the moment, I'm working on some perfume reviews and there's like 10 in this box and I've got to 5 and I've thought, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Like, it's so boring once it becomes forced. So I think there's definitely like some kind of happy medium between your day job. Like you said, you want to quit your day job to be able to do more of what you enjoy, the creative stuff. But at the moment, your day job is enabling you to still have the time to do the creative things that you love. And those creative things are giving you cash. You're making that what I like to consider to be like a productive hobby, because you're making money doing the creative thing, and that's still what you love to do.
Yeah, that's it. And I've changed a lot in the last sort of 3 or 4 years since I've kind of given up drinking a lot of the bad habits. My hobbies are now just productive. So a lot of people out at work or my friends are like, oh, he's always doing stuff. But what I enjoy doing now is making progress and building things rather than sitting around vegetating, having a beer, watching Netflix. I try and channel that time now into whether it's making videos or whether it's making candles or doing something. I'm trying to learn and progress, and that's what I'm enjoying the most now. Is just another cliche thing. It's just becoming 1% better every day and just putting a couple of little few steps forwards and just going, making progress. And then over maybe the course of a couple of months or years, you look back and you kind of see your trajectory and what you've done.
Yeah. Well, I've got one final question, which kind of flows. What mistakes have you made, or what would you do differently, if anything? Obviously, we've talked a little bit about like you amending the labels and the marketing, but anything specific that you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that? I feel like there was a time just from watching that you like, did you stop making the candles or did you just stop selling to Amazon? There was something where you were like, I should have continued with that. I should have kept up with that.
Yeah, so I stopped last year. So I've always been into health and fitness and sort of lifting weights and doing stuff like that. But it's quite hard to maintain that with a chef job, which may be an excuse. I don't know. Just, so I signed up for like some coaching to do like a transformation thing. So I basically lose a load of weight and get super ripped. And that's kind of what I wanted to do on YouTube. Not necessarily that, but I wanted to do the health and fitness stuff because it's something I've always enjoyed. And at that time I was doing YouTube coaching to try and progress my YouTube videos, because I started off doing candle videos and then I maybe sidestepped to doing a bit of self-improvement and things like that, because that's what I enjoy as well, just trying to improve myself in every aspect, really. Become the person you want to be, all that kind of bullshittery. But yeah, I sort of stopped the candle making for a bit because I couldn't do so many things at once. And my plan was to make a full-time career out of YouTube, doing self-improvement and things like that, and trying to cash in on that, turn that hobby into a career. And there's people like Dan Coe. I don't know if you see him on YouTube. Have a look. He's very interesting. Basically, he started writing on Twitter and started talking about his self-improvement and how he's basically productized himself and his hobbies, interests, and monetized that. So a lot of his stuff is just mindset, self-improvement, and business. He's got a thing called the 2-Hour Writer, where he talks about how he creatively wrote a lot of stuff on Twitter and he's turned that into a career. Now he's got a book release and he's got millions of followers on every platform, but he started off on Twitter growing it just by talking about the things that interested him, and he found certain people that that aligned with that, and that created that kind of tribe. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to look up this guy. I watch so much self-improvement type stuff on YouTube. That's like, it's like a little bit of candle making because there's just not that many people, and then the bulk of it is like self-improvement podcast type things, stuff to do with like mind, like, you know, just business / mind stuff. Love it. I love anything that's like, here is how you're going to get better as a person.
Exactly. So going back to your original question, because I didn't really answer it. So stopping the YouTube, stopping the candle making is something I did, but I think a lot of it's shiny object syndrome. I've got so many ideas all the time, and I'm constantly like, right, this is going to be the next best thing. This is going to make me £1 million. This is going to push me to where I want to be. So I think in a couple of my videos, you don't know how close you are to a breakthrough, and you're never going to know if you stop. So just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually you'll get there. You don't know what's around the corner. But yeah, I did stop for probably a good 2 or 3 months, but then I wasn't going to get back into it, but I had a tax bill I needed to pay. So I thought, right, I'll
Sell some candles.
get rid of all my existing stock. I'll make it all into candles and I'll just pull up that. And I started to enjoy the process again. I started to get back into it. I don't know. Just something reignited the fire. And I thought, actually, I've put almost 3 years of grind and hard work into this. I thought, right, let's just give it another crack. Let's just see where we are.
Yeah.
So I started making sort of pumpkin spice candles and trying to get in on that kind of October, autumn kind of vibe. And I had a really pretty good October. I think I made £1,500 profit, which is pretty good. And then just building on that, just trying to keep going. So yeah, one of the biggest mistakes is shiny object syndrome. Shiny object syndrome. Just always doing the next best thing. With anything, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. But if you're constantly flicking between this and this and this, you're never going to make any progress. I think just if I could go back in time and tell myself to spend a bit of time learning how to do it properly, I think I underestimated how difficult it was to make a good candle. But I don't know whether that would have made any difference because of my impulsive all or nothing nature. I'm going to do this and I do it immediately and I do it tomorrow. Whether that would have changed. But I think over the course of the 3 years, my mind has evolved and changed. So going back in time to tell myself to do something, I don't think my mind would have been ready for it at that point, if that makes any sense.
Well, if you're anything like me, you just can't be told.
Yeah.
You just do the thing. You know, you even sometimes in your mind, you're like, I know I shouldn't be doing this. I know I should stick with this. But you have to experience it yourself and be like, well, yeah, I shouldn't have. But I did it and now I know. Either way, you're always going to wonder.
Yeah, and even now I'm constantly telling myself, because I see stuff, I watch YouTube, I'm like, oh, he's doing really well. Maybe I should try that. But it's constantly reminding myself, I get all his ideas and I maybe start doing a few things, and I start writing it down. I'm like, no, let's just leave that alone. Let's just do what we're doing now. My first goal really is to get to £3,000 profit a month, which will be £10,000 sort of gross sales, which is definitely achievable. I've worked out that's 400 candles I need to sell at about £5 to £6 profit, which is entirely achievable. That's 100 candles a month. No, sorry, 100 candles a week, which I can do. I could make 25 every day, and then I could label them all in one day and ship them all. So the first goal is £3,000 profit, which would be enough money for me to probably leave my job, because that will pay slightly more than what I'm getting at the moment, and that will give me more time to do other things. But anyway, like I said, I'm never going to get there from constantly flicking between other things. So if I can just do this one thing and make 400 candles a month and sell them, that's kind of my first goal. But like I said, I'm never going to get there constantly changing. So yeah, the biggest mistake I think people make is just constantly flicking and changing, or getting new ideas, or changing labels, or changing waxes, or doing other things to try and master one thing, do that really well, and make that your offer rather than trying to do 500 different things. Or even in the beginning, I was trying to do. Yeah, so I think we just got cut off there. We ran out of Zoom time or something like that. But anyway, like I was saying, shiny object syndrome is probably the biggest issue. If I could go back in time, I'd just tell myself to do one thing, stick at it, and just go through it. It's going to have ups and downs where it becomes a bit boring, and you're going to get bits where you really enjoy it, but it's just maintaining it and doing it. There's always going to be new shiny objects and ideas, but I keep telling myself, just write them down. Once I've got maybe my first goal, like making £3,000 a month profit, then I can maybe have a look at these other ideas when I've got more time. One thing, stick at it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's really, really difficult. I mean, I think I probably had 6 different YouTube channels over the time. I've always had the one, and then I've like spread, well, now I want to do this, then I'm going to do this, and now I want to do, it's the thing of newness that you're always craving. Like, oh, I want to start something again. I want to have to like do a new brand or and that's with the candles. I think that's what makes this so suitable for someone like you and I, who are always looking for something new, because you can constantly change things. Be like, I'm going to do a new scent. I'm going to do a new label. I'm going to do the packaging differently. Or Instagram and social media, everything about that is like, you can flex that shiny object syndrome muscle in different ways while still staying on the right path of everything comes back to this. I'm still promoting this one thing.
Yeah, totally. No, I haven't really thought about that. It's good aspect to add to it. So yeah, when I do get new ideas, I try to think of new candle ranges or cool ideas. So if I've got a bookish idea or things I want to do, so even just creating new labels is quite good fun for me. I go on Canva and I get all the bits together and I do different things, and I quite like that aspect of just creating a nice label and creating just a nice looking candle with a bit of a story behind it. I think going back to what I was saying earlier, trying to do stuff that makes you stand out, trying to create candles with a bit of a story behind it, a bit of a nostalgic feeling. So rather than just it being a nice smelling candle, it's kind of got some kind of emotional value to it as well. But
yeah, no, I agree. But I think everything you said in terms of like what would you do differently, I have felt that in YouTube, and I think that's one of the things that feels like a transferable skill, in that I know I can kind of play it to the end in like, I know what happens when you try and change your channel name 7-8 years down the line. It's not smart. Just keep at what you're doing, and hopefully it will eventually become something.
Yeah, I heard a cool phrase the other day where someone's like, grass is always greener on the other side. It's like, no, the grass is greener if you just water the grass you've got. So,
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, I feel like that's in a song, like the grass is greener where you water it. No, I agree. I think that's a perfect way of remembering it as well. Like it's wherever you are focused on, whatever you are putting the time into that's the thing. It's not if I did this, but what if you did this? This thing.
Yeah. I think the difficulty is with Instagram and everything else, you see someone else and go, they're doing that thing, maybe I should be doing that because then I'll be more successful. But
yeah. And then it was with the feeling like copying, and I mean, it's almost impossible to find an original idea these days. So many people have simultaneous original ideas. It's, you can't get bogged down in this person's copied me or whatever. But I see so much stuff. Like I was watching your coffee candle reel this morning, and we've got a coffee candle. That's one of our first ones that we launched with, and I absolutely love it. And Karen, my partner that we like work together, we said for a while like we wanted to put the coffee beans on top, and I was like, it just doesn't feel on brand for us. That doesn't feel like our brand. And I'll see things like what you've done and been like, but I wish it was our brand because I love it. It looks great. But you have to stay kind of on message.
Give it a go. It could be, you never know, it could sell really well. I don't mind if people copy my ideas. Like I said, it's not even my idea. I've seen other people do it, so it's not original to me. I've seen someone else do it and go, wow, I might try that with something else. But I think that's it. Even in the beginning, I emulated so many other candle sellers, and I more or less copied a few people quite badly, but changed it.
Yeah.
But it's only over time by doing it and going, I need to do my own thing a bit more. But yeah, it's very hard to come up with something entirely original. You kind of stand on other people's ideas and twist it and make it your own.
Yeah. Have you considered doing, because this is something that given that our brand is very kind of like clean, and we've got so many like fun things we would like to do that we've been like, well, maybe as like a one-off or whatever. Have you considered, like you'd said earlier about like white label and things like that, doing like a secondary brand, for Amazon or for wherever, so that you could kind of play with something different?
I have, and I probably have started different ones over time, but I'm trying to really scale it back in now because I think because I was trying to do a lot of different candles and try and just get pieces of the marketplace, and just kind of desperately grabbing by doing so many different scents. I think I've maybe had about 20 on the go, 20, maybe over 20. I did start trying to do an essential oil candle range with just 5 candles, like a lemongrass one. There was lavender, like a herb garden one. So I thought that would be quite nice and maybe a slightly different, unique selling point, even though there's loads of people doing it. But I just found, like, once again, with shiny object syndrome, I was doing too many different things. And there's a video I've seen or something like that. You start the day with maybe 10 energy points. And if I'm trying to do 5 different candles, and I'm trying to do bus salts, I'm trying to do, like, I'm going to be doing 10 things. A little bit worse than if I was just doing 2 things or 1 thing. Like, all that energy is going to go into that. But yeah, I did start trying to do essential oil candles. They were quite nice, but I didn't have enough time to really promote it. And the coffee candle at the moment, I'm only really selling that on Amazon. But I did start another side step of, right, I'm going to do these candles because I've seen someone on Amazon doing like a forest candle. I thought, right, I'll emulate that, do my own version, try and get a piece of that. And the coffee candle was just one of the ones left from that range, and that sold quite well. So I'm just going to stick with that. It's quite an easy candle to make. The coffee scent I buy is quite cheap as well, so it's quite profitable. So I'm just going to maybe leave that as a specific Amazon one. But what I'm trying to do now is draw it back in and try and reduce the amount of scents I'm doing. Maybe stick with the 5 bookish ones. I don't necessarily want to stop my original range, but I just want to maybe make it more like 5 or 6 candles. I still get a few people that have been buying them from the beginning that quite like some of them. And some of them are quite nice. Like maybe for sentimental reasons, want to keep going with some of them. But we'll see. It's really hard to reduce it and stop doing one of them because I quite like all of them.
It is really, I mean, we only expanded for seasonal stuff. And then already we've got one seasonal candle that was loved so much. It was a Christmas candle, but it wasn't really Christmas. It was more like a cozy kind of scent. So many people asked for it that we've just added it into our permanent range. I think we've now got 6 or 7 that's just our permanent. And I've said to Karen, like, this is, in fact, that's not true, because then we also do 12 extra scents in melts alone for the Zodiac. Like, this is getting out of hand. Like, it's getting to the point of this is too many, keep in stock.
Start collecting them like Pokemon. It's kind of how I feel.
It's really tricky. But yeah, I think at very least though, even though you've kind of like flipped around and done whatever, you've kept the same brand. Like your name has stayed the same. So people that have found you in the past or found you on Amazon, whatever, even if it's like an Amazon specific thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've got a few different candles. So what stayed constant is my tags. I've always had my tag. So even with that one, just like a sweet pea one. Then I've tried doing different ones. I feel like the jars is always the same, but the labels change.
Yeah.
I think the tag keeps it sort of consistent with what I've been doing. So
yeah. No, I definitely think that that's something that like changing up changing scent names, even changing the labels, all keeps it kind of fun. For us, we have, like I said, the clean. I've just run downstairs and I'm so unfit. We have the clean glass jars, and then the way that we kind of keep it fun is we'll do extra kind of stone cast jars. So I brought, since I had to run downstairs for the door anyway, I brought some up. These are some of the ones that we're going to do for summer. This is a spring one.
Nice, that's cool.
Which is cute, and then you can do it whatever color you want because obviously you're doing it yourself. And then for the
segment.
Yes, and then the summer collection. This is so cute. I love this. It's like a peach.
Do you buy these? Or you make these?
I make these.
Oh wow, that peach one looks well cool.
Right? It looks so cool. It's like a little stereo. So I find it
hard to believe you made that.
I mean, it's not like I made it with my bare hands. It was a mold.
I know. Still, that's very, very cool.
But it is cool, right? And then there's this one that has got like little lines all over it. So I was thinking we could do, because it's not on brand for us to do like coloured wax or like little additions to the tops or whatever. Yeah. These can be our, for people who like something a bit different, we'll do like a limited number of our daisy chain spring scent in these. We'll do like maybe a couple of these in like a little set for the summer scents. And it just keeps things interesting while, like you say, keeping kind of focused on this is the overall goal.
Yeah, I think it might be nice to do special editions every now and then see how they go. And it gives you something to talk about on your social media as well. Keeps it a bit more interesting that people maybe like your brand anyway. And they go, oh, cool, that's an interesting candle. And if they are quite popular, you could always do a little set of different style ones. But yeah, it's hard to not get too carried away and want to do everything. So,
So it's whatever you can kind of do to keep yourself interested. Like all day yesterday I was making those. I wasn't making candles. I wasn't doing anything that I usually do. I was just doing something completely different and fun, but it was still for the purpose of this. Yeah,
still making progress. I think that's it. You can't do the same stuff every day. You need something to keep it more interesting. So like some days I'll play around with wax mouse or maybe one day I'll spend the whole day playing around with labels, or I'll make new candle care cards or something like that.
Yeah.
It just keeps it interesting and exciting. It still keeps that creative output in it. Even though you're doing the same thing, you're still doing the one thing, you're still making progress with that, which is all sort of in alignment.
Yeah, still all funneling down to the same thing. So they were my three. I mean, we went on, but they were my three questions for you.
It's going to be a long video, so if people have got this far, well done. Anyway, so yeah, a few questions to ask you. So this is two questions, but I'll lump it into one. How did you start, and what made you start making candles?
Okay, so same as you, I didn't do, like, when you watch the videos of like, this is how you should start, I didn't do any of those things. I didn't buy like a trial kit or like a make your own candle and see if I liked it. I just kind of went in like, we're going to do this. I've watched some videos. I think we can do this. I'm going to buy all of the equipment. And we were in. It was me and my friend Karen, who I work with. We work a railway job, not on the railway, but an office job for the railway. And that's how we met. And we were both going through some kind of similar and yet differently motivated mental health stuff at the time. And we were like, we need a thing. We need a thing together to be doing, a bit of a like an outlet. Yeah, a bit of an outlet, a bit of a like, let's do this together. And then we were because we were doing it at the same time, she kind of joked it was almost like we were having an affair because we were texting each other so often.
Yeah.
It was like that was the driving force in our days. So that's kind of how we came to start, was like, we need something. And we both agreed that was, we're both kind of quite creative. She made this little guy.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool.
I know. So she made this little guy a few years ago. She made one for me and I said, Karen, you need to be selling these on Etsy. So I set her up an Etsy shop and she made a chunk of cash making these little baby Yodas. Alien childs. Don't sue Karen. Yeah. Don't sue Karen for making baby Yodas because they are not baby Yodas. So she made those and I said, you could sell these. This is how much you need to sell them for. I set her up an Etsy and she ran with it. So that kind of gave us an 18-month, say, head start of we could potentially work together. I had the social media and the tech. I mean, setting up an Etsy shop is not technically difficult, but I was kind of more proficient and confident with that stuff, whereas she was like the actual making of the thing. Felt like she wanted to do something. So when it came to actually creating a brand together, we said we can really do this. We were going to do melts and candles. I decided I was going to do candles because I was the one I love to do the research and watch all the videos. And whereas melts, I know you've like dabbled with melts, but so much simpler in terms of like, because there's no wig.
Yeah, it's quite easy.
Oh my God. I mean, Karen does all of the shipping, absolutely all of it. So that for me, if I had to ship things, no one would ever get anything. That alone, even if that's all she did, it would still feel like an equal partnership to me because shipping is such a block. Which is why we don't do Amazon or anything because Karen is my Amazon. Karen is yeah. If it was me alone, that everything to do with Amazon FBA, I signed up for it and everything and was like, this sounds great. But I thought we're not really there yet. We don't need to be doing that. Karen is our shipper. And so she took on the melts. She makes all the melts from start to finish. I do all the candles. I do all of the actual website stuff, social media stuff. And it kind of split really nicely that way. Why we decided on candles, I really don't know. It was just, we were like, what's it going to be? And it just came to us and...
You just woke up one day and went, candles.
It was like, it's candles. I honestly don't know what it was specifically.
Were you watching people on YouTube prior to this making candles, or is that...
No. Oh, no. This is the same as original YouTube. I found one day someone making a YouTube video and the next day I was like, I'm going to do that. Didn't do any research at all. I don't know what made me think candles. Once we thought candles, then I watched all the videos. Bought all the kit. Yeah.
Decided one thing and then go all in and then start doing the research after you've decided to do it.
Yeah. If it's just genuinely a shock to everyone who knows me that this is still actually a thing that I'm doing after like a few months. Same.
People think I give up things too easily. They're like, it won't last for long, but I've stuck to a lot of stuff. So now anyway.
I used to say YouTube was the only hobby I'd ever actually kept up with. And now candles have become like, oh, she might do this as well. This might be
Become quite
another.
addictive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it
Like,
totally it ticks all the boxes of like it's the creativity. I still enjoy although it's more of a grind to do the tech, like the actual, oh my God, writing descriptions of candles. It brings me back to writing descriptions of lipsticks. It's still fun to do like the photography and all that stuff.
yeah.
It's just a bit of all kinds of things, candles.
I think that's it. Yeah, because I quite like photography anyway, and I quite like the videos and the editing. And it's a bit like a real life video game. You kind of do lots of different bits and unlock new achievements by sort of doing it.
Yeah. Did you go to school for anything specific?
Not really. I did A-level photography. I went to uni for 3 months to do photography, but I quit because I hated it. And then I ended up in chefing. So nothing specific at school. I never really knew what I wanted to do. I always had a few websites and a few side hustles throughout the time, but I never stuck it for long enough to make any money. I make a little bit, or I find it too hard and just give up. So.
Yeah, I did film studies, media studies, and photography, and art and graphic design at some point.
Yeah.
But all those things were just things that were like, oh, they're interesting. They weren't with a view to doing anything because YouTube wasn't a thing then. People weren't. Just wasn't a thing. But I'm always interested to find, like, how do people fall into these kinds of things? Even chefing, that's like a creative career.
Yeah. The photography I enjoyed the most at A-level, and I enjoyed going on little adventures and taking photos and doing that kind of stuff. And I think that's why I went to university, one, to get out of the little village, and one, to do something quite creative. But the people on the lectures, like, yeah, you'll probably never get a job doing anything nice and creative. You'll must be a wedding photographer or something crap like that. And I was like, oh, cool. It's pointless then. But I gave up.
You really... Maybe they do that on purpose so that the people who are really not that passionate about it drop out early.
Then I ended up in hospitality, started off front of house and then shifted to chefing because it was more creative and I enjoyed that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I think that a lot of people end up in the same place and have very different journeys to get there, but there are little sparks of
little things, similarities, that creative aspect, but no direction.
Like it could have ended up anywhere. Could have been anything. But yeah, that's I think the question was how and why.
Yeah.
And that's
I think I covered that. And then the next question is, what platforms are you selling on? How do you get sales? And what's sort of the most consistent platform you sell on?
Shopify. So we're our own website through Shopify. And then Karen, because of her previous Etsy experience, set up an Etsy, and we agreed that that's not a place that we want to focus on, but it's not a bad thing to have it as if you happen to find us, here's all of our stuff. And even if we made like a sale once in a blue moon, they were sales that we would never have made because they found us randomly through Etsy.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it. But otherwise, it's pretty much all driven from social media to our direct website.
Cool. Do you get many sales on Shopify? Not Shopify, Etsy.
No, not very many at all, because we're not... Initially, Karen wanted to promote it, and I don't... Because the fees are so high. Like, I don't want to promote Etsy as... I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because if we promote it to our current following, then obviously we can get a lot of people buying and like reviews and stuff on there that would then kind of push us up in the rankings, and then new people will find us. But then we're also losing that from our Shopify. And it's also difficult to keep stock. We're only doing melts on Etsy.
Okay.
And like I think some wax melters, but it's really there as it's in my mind, it's there as an advert. If people happen to find us.
Cool place to do it. I did Etsy for a bit, but then I got banned. I had other shops. I was trying to sell PNG files and other things for like the cricket machines, and some of them were like branded logos, maybe like little baby Yodas and stuff. I thought in the beginning I'd just do it to get reviews and sales, but then I got a load of copyright strikes and I basically just banned all my Etsy accounts. So I was selling candles on Etsy. It's a really tricky platform to get going, and there's so much competition because of the barrier to entry on Etsy. If someone wants to sell something handmade, they go to Etsy immediately. I think Amazon, it's a bit more difficult to set up an account. There's a lot more reviews, a lot more checks. To send a shipment to Amazon, it's quite a learning curve.
I have been, because you've talked about the Amazon FBA. I'd signed up and I've been approved for it, which felt like jumping through a million hoops to begin with. And I am considering, but then you talked a lot about needing to put in a lot of advertising money, and I was like, I just don't know if I'm quite there yet.
No, it's worth it if you want to expand. For me, as a chef, like you said, with your friend posting all your candles, I don't have the facilities to go to the post office every day and post it, whereas Amazon FBA deal with all of it. I can ship a big box and they'll deal with all of that. I can go to the post office maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but you want to get them out as quickly as possible, really, to provide decent customer service, especially now because everyone expects everything next day. They're not patient.
Well, I mean, we were talking about off camera. You were saying about whether or not you'd want to work full time, doing this full time, or keep our actual jobs. Because Karen and I work in an office. We work in a large office building. She can actually drop the things off with our reception because our office gets a Royal Mail every single day. So if she's in the office, she can drop them off there. She goes, but she's so quick. We've had so many people come to us and say, God, I can't believe I literally placed an order. 5 minutes later, your order's been packed. She's like, so on it. I would be like, oh, I'll do that in the morning in 3 days time.
Sometimes, I'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow, and then
I couldn't be doing that. No.
Yeah, that's cool. Perks of the job then. That's pretty handy. So that kind of brings me on to my final question, because you've got quite a big following on your YouTube and your social media, Instagram. Do you leverage your followers to build your candle brand, or is that something you've been trying to keep separate?
No, very much. So that was, it's so difficult. Every now and then I'll try and like cross-reference, like when we get orders, I'll go on Instagram and be like, look at names. Is this someone that follows me directly? Is this, because it's so hard to know how people have found us, because it's, but a huge number of people that buy from us are people that were already following me on my platforms separately. So very much my audience was leveraged to make the brand a success initially. Going back to talking about like what is a success, what is not a success. For me, being out of it financially completely. So obviously we put some money into it initially for all of the stuff that you need. Now it's making enough money that there's none of our money in it anymore. Because there's 2 of us, all of the money is separate. We've got totally separate business account. And there's none of our money goes into the business anymore, and we take money out.
Money that comes in.
Exactly. So it's recycled with occasional payouts, and even if that's minimal, to me within a year, that's a success. Yeah,
self-sustaining, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's my first goal, just to break even, not lose any money, as long as I'm learning. Break even is fine for now. Yeah.
And it's like, because we've got our own jobs and this is something that we're kind of like ticking over. If it did that for a few years and we made, a few £100 here and there, that's still worth it. It's not costing us anything to run the business. It's just our time. And as long as you're enjoying it, you can kind of keep up with that. So definitely leveraging my existing social media following helped to get us there quicker. But we would obviously like to reach as many people as possible. And that's why we're considering doing more Etsy, more Amazon FBA, trying to find a new audience, not to discount all the people that have supported us this far, because they have
building on what's already working.
Yeah. But I've been genuinely shocked at how many people have repurchased, because it's one thing. I knew that we could sell a certain amount of stuff just based on past experience with my engaged audience. I knew that, well, if we did this, we could sell this. And if you want to make money quick, we could have done that. But every time someone repurchases, it gives me a bit of okay, maybe they bought one thing to support me, but they're not buying 10. There's one woman who I think has purchased 20 times since We only
Yeah.
launched last July.
Mhm.
And she's sent to other people. She's like, it gives you a little bit of a, okay, we're doing something right, because these are not just people that are supporting blindly anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you can build up a loyal following that enjoy the products you're making, buy into what you're doing and what you're selling, if you can get those repeat purchases, they're the ones you want. Because even if you spend a bit of money advertising, you've got them now. That's going to keep going. I think that's what I'm struggling with the most, is building up repetitive buyers. I think a lot of people buy a lot of my candles once and they have a nice candle and then they don't buy again. I get a few people buy it over and over, but not that many. So trying to build up that brand and that story, which is why I'm doing the book kind of theme, trying to find my tribe of people.
But also people are buying into people. So the more this kind of stuff that you do, people will find your videos, or the more you show yourself on in social media, people are buying into the person who made the product. The product is like, oh, that's a really funky product. I'll buy it. I'll put it on my shelf. May never burn it because I've bought it for the label and it's really cool. I'll buy it as a gift. But if they buy into you, that's a whole different animal, I think. Like, I think our repeat custom rate is like about 30% at the moment, which is enormous for me. I think the average is like 20, which really shocked me. I thought it'd be less than that.
I reckon mine's below that. So.
But then you'll be selling a much larger volume than us. So again,
where
are we calling, what are we calling success? Because you'll be making more money, more candles, more everything. But then we're getting more people come back. It's however you want to qualify success.
Yeah. I think because I've got a goal in my mind how much I need to justify not having a job. That's kind of, volume has always been a bit of the goal, I guess. And I'd probably get a fair few repeat bars on Amazon, but I just don't know, because Amazon is really hard to check and go through. I can, but it's too much going on. Where's the people like who?
I mean, we've only got like 5 minutes left of our time on this before it kicks us off again, but I can barely even get started with the topic of law of attraction. But I swear, it's, to me, if you've said my goal is this, all the other things, like if your goal is I need this amount of money per month and not I want repeat customers, you're getting this goal. This goal is just one that you'd like, but you're not like, for YouTube wise, and this is bizarre, I get less views now than I've probably ever got in my 14 years on YouTube, and I'm making more money. That makes no sense. But I wrote down
loyal followers.
Maybe so, but I wrote down at some point, this is how much money I need to make to keep churning out YouTube videos at the volume that I'm churning it out. And within a few weeks, I saw a difference in the money that I was making. And consistently, I have made a minimum of that amount of money every month. And it doesn't make sense.
I think I've seen a few videos. It's better to have 2,000 diehard fans and a million people that only really care about a little bit of you every now and then. But it's funny that a lot of stuff I've been reading about law of attraction is kind of what I've been writing down today. So there's like goals and stuff on here. I'm going to go through that every morning and every day. There's a lot of law of attraction stuff on there. So trying to recondition my mindset, because I grew up in a bit of a poor family. So coming by money, for me, I've got a bit of a scarcity mindset. So I could change it to be more abundant. So simple things, as cliche as it sounds again. Stuff I tell myself now, making money is easy. Money is abundant, selling is simple. So it's just trying to recondition your brain to those things and the universe.
I know it's not for everyone, and I totally get that. But in my mind, law of attraction is harmless. So long as you don't believe in any of the negative, you can bring something really bad to yourself, which I choose not to. I just, believe in the positive stuff. Same as like you're looking for signs. I'm only interested in the positive signs. I'm not looking into but in my mind, it's the only thinking that something like that is real is only going to bring you something positive.
Only going to help, and it doesn't really matter. It's your thoughts anyway, so
it's not hurting anyone, and it's not hurting you. It's only going to make you feel better day to day and feel more positive. And I think it works. I've got some really crazy stories, but that's for another time.
We'll save it for another video.